All right, we're going to call to order the Cuyahoga County Committee of the Whole for Tuesday, November the 10th, 2015. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Calling the roll, Mr. Jones?
Here.
Ms. Brown?
Here.
Mr. Hairston?
Here.
Ms. Simon? Mr. Greenspan?
Here.
Mr. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Germana? Mr. Gallagher? Mr. Schron?
Here.
Ms. Conwell? Ms. Conwell is absent today, and Council President Brady.
Here.
There is a quorum.
Thank you. Could I have a motion to excuse Councilman Conwell from the Committee of the Whole? She will be here, from what I understand, for the council meeting.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say yay. All those opposed, yeas have it. Councilman Conwell is excused. Is there any public comment related to the agenda?
No, Mr. President.
Thank you. All right, we're going to item 4 now, but we're going to move from item A to item B in order to accommodate our guests. Clerk, would you please read the resolution?
Resolution number 2015-0211, a resolution authorizing a casino revenue fund loan in the amount not to exceed $4,300,000 to Van Aken Shopping Center Limited for the benefit of the Van Aken Shopping Plaza project located at Farnsley Road and Warrensville Center Road in the city of Shaker Heights, authorizing the county executive and director of development to execute all documents consistent with said loan and this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
All right, well, I know we have several people here today, but we're going to begin with our old friend Nate.
I've had better introductions. Mr. Chair, thank you very much for hearing this. Thank you, council members. Today we're presenting a project. It is among the first of the casino revenue projects that are outside the downtown district. You've already heard most recently one in Euclid that was presented by the administration along St. Clair, and I understand that there's another one to be considered by council at today's meeting. Council is reminded that there are funds available in the fund. The process that we went through started on this project more than a year ago, significant underwriting and due diligence with the project. It is a $91 million project. The description I'll allow to be painted by the team that has been working on it for much longer than that. Council proposes, or we're proposing and advocating for a loan about $4.3 million. It is a loan with a term and a rate as presented in the executive summary that you already have. And it's secured by personal and corporate guarantees and a subordinate mortgage position from the property, and then excess TIF revenue. So it's well collateralized, relatively short term, and I think a good investment financially. But also, we advocate for it in the administration because of the nexus of population density, transportation, and with the success of this project, jobs. Being able to be close to work in your workforce and having access to jobs is part of the kinds of projects that we're emphasizing. So I'd like to introduce Mayor Lyken of Shaker Heights, and I'm available to answer any questions before, during, or after.
Thank you. Welcome, Mayor.
Thank you very much. And thank you for the opportunity to be here. I think most of you will remember I was here a couple of years ago on behalf of the first suburbs, and at that time we were arguing that the casino money should be spread out like peanut butter among Cleveland and the first suburbs. But the county council decided that that was not the way to do this, that casino money should be used for individual projects that could be judged on their merits. And now this project is ready, and we believe that this is a project that presents an extremely strong case for funding under the structure that you have all set up. And that is for 4 principal reasons. First of all, it will secure very significant private investment in the county. Secondly, it will create jobs for county residents. Thirdly, It will serve to revitalize a blighting and decaying area in the county. And fourth, it's going to create an expansion of public transit. Let me go over each of these. This, of course, is a project at the corner of Van Aken and Chagrin. It deals with the revitalization of two older, decaying commercial retail centers. It is the endpoint of the RTA Blue Line, and it's an area that's just ripe for redevelopment. And that's what we propose to do. With respect to the four items that I mentioned, the four aspects in which this fits well within the structure that you've created. First, securing private investment in economic development in the county. The county loan of $4.3 million that we're seeking will leverage over $6 million in city investment and over $75 million in private investment through RMS, the developer. With respect to jobs, the project is projected to add 450 permanent jobs for county residents and 665 construction jobs. In addition, it will keep over 1,000 jobs in Shaker Heights in the county, including jobs at cutting-edge companies like Cellular Technologies, which is in the district and does cell research, Equity Engineering, which revitalizes oil refineries all over the world, Biomotive, a biotech company, and the University Hospitals Management Services Center, which is in the district. All of these entities have indicated they are staying in the district, and they will grow and expand in the district because of this project, and because this project will provide a place for their employees to go out and have lunch and to spend some time after work. All of them have said they want a more vibrant environment in that district in order for them to be there. Further, space has been reserved in the district for an office tower, which is expected to bring an additional 600 jobs in professional services, information technologies, design, and engineering. Finally, the project is a critical piece of the Northfield-Warrensville Jobs Corridor, a project involving a number of cities, Shaker, Warrensville, Highland Hills, North Randall, are all working together to create a jobs corridor from the Van Aken district all the way out to 480. And we're working very closely with the county. This is the work we're doing is being documented. This is a grant application. We have received a grant to conduct our study. The Van Aken Center is a key point in the whole corridor because it provides transportation to the rest of the corridor. As I said, the end of the RTA Blue Line, RTA will be able, through the density of riders that are going to come to this area, to have the funds necessary to justify extending routes out to the rest of the corridor. And that will allow not only to take people to jobs in Warrensville and Highland Hills and Beechwood and North Randall, but it will also allow for connections between the University Hospitals Management Services Center, which is right in the district, and their other locations, such as Ahuja Hospitals in Beechwood, and also to their main campus. Thirdly, the project will revitalize a blighted and decaying area in a first suburb. If you went out today and looked at the site, you would see two decaying shopping centers, retail commercial centers, one on the north side of Van Aken, the other on the south side of Van Aken. One called Van Aken Center, the other Shaker Plaza. The developer, RMS, has obtained control over Shaker Plaza, which it did not own. It's in the process of acquiring ownership of that site. And so the developer is going to be able to redevelop that entire district. This is extremely important. It is very hard to persuade developers to come into an inner-ring suburb and take the kind of risk and expend the kind of dollars that RMS is doing here. And this project can not only revitalize this important hub area for RTA and Shaker Heights and the surrounding communities, but it will also serve as a model for what can be done in an inner-ring suburb to revitalize older inner-ring communities. Cleveland, by the way, has also indicated a strong interest in the project because it does provide transportation for Cleveland residents to jobs in these outlying areas. And that's the final point, expansion of public transit. Because this is the end of the RTA Blue Line, it's a very important site in their whole operation. And the density of riders, as I say, that will be created as a result of this project will allow for all kinds of linkages and good things coming out of this very center. I want to just make a few additional points. We're not asking the county to do this on its own. The city of Shaker Heights is partnering with you, and we are putting in $6 million of city money. There's been a road reconfiguration at that site. Shaker Heights has already invested $2.3 million in that road reconfiguration, but we're investing another $6 million in this site as part of the project. We have an excellent developer. RMS is a family partnership, the Ratner, Miller, Shaffron family, but the partners in this operation, wearing their other hats for their public company, Forest City Enterprises, have done major developments that have transformed areas of Brooklyn, Denver, Washington, D.C., Boston, and San Francisco. And we want to have the benefit as a community, but we also think the county should want to take advantage of the opportunity to have them bring their skills and their resources to Cuyahoga County. It has been, as they'd indicated, thoroughly vetted by the county administration, and it is a loan, not a grant. The money that we're asking to borrow will be paid back so that it can be reinvested in other projects in the future. So with that, are there any questions, or would you like me to?
Mayor, you just intrigued me in terms of the discussion about the possible expansion of either the Rapid Line or a tram or something connected to the Rapid Line. I'm not quite sure. I wasn't aware of that part. I was paying attention to something else, I guess. And would you or somebody else be able to speak to that public transportation part of this package that you're talking about, and
Yes, I'm going to.
how far along that is? I mean, I understand the rationality of it, but also that I know that's going to cost some money, and do we,
Right.
How's that
I am
looking?
going to introduce the president of RMS, Luke Palmisano, and Luke is actually going to address your very question as part of his presentation.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor, for outlining the economic points of the project so well. If you allow me, what I hope to do today is describe the vision for the project. And as I'm describing that vision, I'll explain how the RTA is going to work. It was a joint planning process that we went through for probably over a year and a half. So through this presentation, and feel free to interrupt me as I'm going through it and ask questions, we'll describe the project philosophy, the land control and infrastructure, the district planning, and the development program and imagery to help explain that vision for this district. When we entered this process with Shaker several years ago, we began by deciding what our philosophy should be for this district. And I'm just going to read this to you briefly because this is what's been driving our development planning since the beginning. Amazing neighborhoods are the product of amazing neighbors. They are the willful collection of residents, business owners, retailers, and restaurateurs who have come together around a shared philosophy and a common set of values. They are inherently irresistible, vibrant places. Now that's been our vision, but how do we accomplish that? It all started with the road work for this intersection, and it was a Shaker and county-led and managed process to get to that road work. Sorry, I jumped to the end of the slide here. All right. This intersection, as many of you probably know, was one of the worst in the county. It was a 7-way mess, and it now functions as a 4-way intersection. The streets, can you see my mouse on your computer screens here? Yes. Great. The streets, Van Aken and Northfield were closed, which allowed the intersection to be a 4-way intersection. Instead of waiting 3.5 minutes at this light, it's 90 seconds. We jokingly called it the 2-latte intersection because you could wait at that light, go into Starbucks, get your coffee, and run back out to your car and make it. People avoided it. And the point is that people will not avoid this intersection anymore because instead of 3.5 minutes, it's 90 seconds to get through the intersection. If you're on foot, it's 90 feet from corner to corner instead of 287 feet. So with the change of that intersection, the closure of Van Aken, what that did for this district is instead of each parcel being different islands, they're all relatable to each other. We can connect Shaker Plaza and Van Aken Center because Van Aken Boulevard was closed. If you're at the UH Center, you can walk down into the new Van Aken district. So that was really huge for driving the certainty around our planning for the district. The next major step was site control. So we owned Van Aken Center since the 50s. We now control Shaker Plaza. And with the closure of Van Aken, Shaker controls the corner where Starbucks used to be and the vacated Van Aken Boulevard, along with the Farnsey lot and the Quay site. So in total, with our partnership with Shaker, we now control 18 acres and feel that is more than enough to truly build this town center for the city. With those two tasks accomplished, we set on a journey to plan a district that fit for this neighborhood. And what our goal was to build the bones and the infrastructure to create the commercial center, the extension of the Shaker neighborhoods. And that process started with Shaker and the RTA and RMS jointly planning how the bus function and rail function would work in this district. So you can see on this plan how the near-term layout will be with the closure of Van Aken, the RTA tracks staying in their relative current position, and now all the buses will come in off of Chagrin, line up along the tracks, and back out on Farnsley and off to where they need to go. There's a high amount of transfers here. It's about 50% bus to bus and bus to rail. This is a very important place for the RTA in providing service to the broader area here. And we had to ensure that it functioned in a way that was convenient for bus and rail riders, so you can easily get from your bus to the train, but also allowed there to be developable parcels in this district so that we can create that town center. Does that answer your question a little bit better on how the bus and rail will function? Goes a little further. Okay. Other things that this plan shows is how the district connects to the neighborhood. That our intent is that Farnsley gets built out to be a two-sided street that connects to Thornton Park. You see the connection into the neighborhood south of the project, the rail connection, the pedestrian connections, the bike connections. If people don't realize that this is only 2 miles from 271 in Chagrin, it's because no one came to this intersection because they didn't want to go through it, and there's nothing to go to. Now that there's a place to go to, people will realize by car how easy it is to get to here from 271 in Chagrin if you're an office user, for example. So those were some of the themes, and as we got into the details of the site plan, we quickly introduced density to help create that place. So you'll notice the structured parking, 340 cars in the garage, parking underneath the residential building, and that helps us create that multi-story mixed-use urban downtown. Our goal is to create a urban feeling environment in the suburbs, a place where anyone in the community can gather to hang out. And to help do that, we've made several intentional design decisions. One was creating this north-south Main Street to the center of the site. And in the next slide, it visualizes that street somewhat. This is a lot like your downtown Main Street of old. This is another public street in the community. It's not our internal street and our development like a lot of lifestyle centers would have. This is decidedly different. The other component is the introduction of public space. So creating spaces for the community to gather. When this is done, these spaces should feel like they are Shakers. And in fact, the public park here will be on Shaker's land. We have a land lease with Shaker that we've given to them for this piece, and the park space, much of it will be built out by a $500,000 ODNR grant. So in this space is where we have the community parties, the fairs, the festivals. It's where you gather and before going down the Browns games on the train. It's really, again, the community space. Here's another image of that space. So, with this focus of community and authenticity of creating the town center for a district that's going to be a regional draw, it can't all be done by planning and architecture. What's really going to drive this as being that authentic town center is who is living, who's renting, who's operating in these spaces. So we've placed a lot of focus on local in the first push of the leasing. The way that the development program lays out, on this screen, you'll see the blue is 60,000 square feet of office over retail. The yellow, this A1 building, is 102 apartments over retail. The red is a total of 120,000 square feet of retail. And that retail is very food and beverage driven. It's very locally driven. We looked for the best local tenants we could find, and now we're layering in the national boutique brands that will complement those local tenants. Here's an aerial looking south, so you see the office over retail. This is a brew pub building. In the middle is Mitchell's Ice Cream, who is the perfect example of the tenant that should be in this district and further demonstrates the type of place that we want this to be. The residential over retail on this side, and then this is Farnsley, and you can see the train over here. And then lastly, a concept that we've put together to further encourage the ability to bring in local tenants is this food hall. Imagine it as a space that you could hang out outside of your home or office, much like you would have in a bookstore or coffee shop. It's creating that space in this artisanal food hall where we can build out most of the common area, the bathrooms on the landlord side, and then the tenant only has to build out their stall in the food hall. So it is a great place for tenants like Rising Star Coffee, Restore, Cold Pressed Juices, and Luna Crepes. And in the wintertime, it's a place to go hang out with your family. There's a large amount of social space for common seating, whether it's hard, soft, or climbable sculptures. And in the summertime, the garage doors open up and spill out into the patios. And this is really the true anchor of our district right here in the middle. I know you guys have some important meetings to get to after this, so I'll wrap up. But lastly, I want to focus on this slide because over the summer, RMS sponsored a biweekly beer garden in the parking lot of Van Aken, and maybe some of you had the chance to go to it. But what was really fantastic was seeing the entire community come out from the neighborhoods in their bikes and strollers and walking into this district and really showing how much of a demand there is for this place that we want to create here. And if they're coming to drink domestic beer in a parking lot, just imagine what it's going to be like when this thing is all built out. So, any questions?
And I would have to use the Rapid to get back to the west side, but I guess that would work.
And that's an option.
I'm going to go to the rest of the council, but I just wanted to, one more little question on this transportation issue because I'm intrigued by it. When the mayor was up, he seemed to allude to the fact that there may be a future hope for, if not solid plans for, some extended spurs going, further out in order to help people get to where they want to go and work.
Right. So that was one of the first major questions that the RTA and RMS and Shaker and the design team asked in the beginning of our planning process together was, what is the long-term future of the rail? Does it get extended further east? And do you leave that option available for it? And the studies that the consultants came up with demonstrated that there won't be enough density further east until another 40, 50 years down the road to support the cost of extending rail further east. Not saying that won't ever happen, but in this first phase, they can service that through additional bus lines, and creating the infrastructure to allow those additional bus lines to have room in this first phase was the primary goal. So there could be dedicated bus lines going further east that now have an intermodal hub at the Van Aken district for bus to rail transfers. And when we build an office building, let's say we build a 120,000 square foot office building on this corner, 67 years down the road, when there is that density further east for rail, that office building has lived its useful life, and it can come down to allow the rail to go further east. So that was the logic in that decision.
Okay, thank you. Questions by the committee? Questions by the committee? Comments by the committee?
Well, as Mr. Kelly can probably already anticipate what my comment's going to be. At least one thing can be said is I'll be consistent. I like the project as much as I like some of the other projects that have come forward. I think it's fantastic. It should be transformational. I do not know where it falls in any other projects that might come down the road in front or behind it. And I know that at least we're having conversations now about creating processes and competitiveness and being able to monitor that. So I want to at least be supportive of the idea, the concept, and everything about it, with a full proviso that I still believe that this project is $4 million, the other one was $4 million, the May Company is $4 million. Pretty well that wipes out a big chunk of the casino revenue out there, and so I believe that we need to have some structure and procedures in place. So with that, I won't be voting to support it, but I will be supportive of it because I'd like to see us get the policies and programs in place so that we can have that. And I will be actually drafting legislation myself to put that in place and working hopefully with the administration so that we can have those steps in place to go forward. And I would not be adverse to grandfathering those programs if we can see that we have a real commitment towards structure and policy as we go forward from the administration and from council out there.
Well, we're committed to working with you, Councilman, on that legislation. I would like to say that I think that, in my own opinion, and we co-sponsored the original legislation that tied this thing up, the mayor was referring to. But I think that the council has shown very good judgment in terms of how it has used the casino money, and I would expect that we would continue to do that in the future. Councilman Simon.
Sure.
And then Councilwoman
Councilman Brown. Okay. I just want to say I fully support this project. It's exactly the type of project that I, for one, envisioned. How to use our casino revenue money. It's just the casino revenue money was passed, it came from a vote from all of our county. And I understand why there was a need to build on downtown for the first 2 years. But what I envisioned was our entering suburbs in particular, who are struggling to really move forward and not backwards. I live in one. And so I fully support this. I know we're going to get more casino revenue money. This doesn't wipe it out. We're going to have more installments that's going to keep coming. So I don't think it's just going to stop after these 3 projects. And I don't disagree. We should have some process, but this is exactly the type of project that I envisioned. So congratulations. I hope this moves forward. It looks like a great project, and I will be there when it's built.
Councilwoman Brown?
Just want to thank the administration for their support on the project. Naturally, I had a chance to meet with my mayor from District 9, Mayor Lyken, and had a thorough opportunity to oversee what the development vision was. And I think, again, I echo my colleague's sentiment. This is just the type of project that the county should take on. It's not a grant; it is a loan. We will, get these dollars back and be able to invest in other projects along in the future. So I strongly request the support of my colleagues with this, and I thank you in advance.
Councilwoman Brown, would you like to make a motion to move this to the full council?
I'd like to make a motion to move this to the full council.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to move this to the full council for second reading. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Councilman Miller, yes.
I support the project, but there was reference to the summary sheet, which had the terms of the loan, and I don't have that. I don't know if anybody else has it, and I just wanted to get the basic details before voting on it.
Councilman, the basic terms of the loan are that we have, it's a total project of $91 million. The loan amount is $4.3 million, which is a little bit less than 5%. The interest rate on the loan is 3%. We're looking at a 7 to 10 year term. We have it listed at 7 years on a 20-year schedule. And that is, and I'll be sure to send out this executive summary to all council members, along with the digital versions of today's files.
And Mr. Chairman, Director, can you explain what it means to have a 7-year loan on a 20-year schedule?
It means that the amortization schedule is a little bit longer, but that the loan payment is shorter. So there's less capitalized interest in the beginning of that loan.
As from the developer's perspective, I will say that a 10-year loan helps the project immensely, where a 7-year loan can not be very helpful, because a 10-year loan, the conventional lenders will see that as more of the public assistance that's needed for us to get this built. A 7-year loan would be repaid before the initial refinancing that the conventional lenders would have us undertake. So from the developer's perspective, we'd be very much asking for a 10-year loan.
And one of the challenges we have is that we want to make sure that it is revolving and that the funds can get back into the fund so that more communities can benefit from projects and investment like this.
So, Mr. Chairman, Director, does the 20-year schedule in effect mean that it's structured so that there's a modest amount of principal repayment, and then there's a large payment at the end of the
Yes,
loan
sir.
term? All right. Okay.
Is there any, Councilman Sean?
As long as we're in the spirit of commenting in the middle on the vote, I would just like to comment and say that, though I know it's not Forest City per se, it is involving a lot of the principals who are involved with Forest City, and my congratulations to Forest City for seeing the value of committing to the county and being part of where we're going to go as far as the future out there, even though I'm going to vote against it for another reason. Thank you.
Okay, well, is there any unreadiness to move forward with this vote? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it, and with one notable exception, Councilman Strawn votes no. Thank you. I understand what you're doing. Yeah. Sure. All right. We're going to switch up here now, I believe, and go back to item A, and which is the resolution for the operating budget. We're going to have Councilman Greenspan come to the center of the room and chair this part of the meeting.
All right, very good. Thank you. We're at a very good place right now insofar as the budget and the budget review is concerned. And before we begin our portion of the meeting, the executive has some prepared remarks he'd like to share with council.
Good afternoon. As you all know, we have reached agreement on the 2016-2017 budget, perhaps in record time. I wanted to take a moment to thank each and every one of you for all your truly exemplary work. This budget was extremely challenging. The challenges resulted mostly from our inability to borrow more money. That created pressures leading to a $68 million hole. With your help, we fixed that hole, and we did it without layoffs, without harm to necessary services, and without raising taxes. But merely balancing the budget was not enough. Our shared goal was to move this county forward. We knew we would need to be bold, collaborative, and in the words of Dale Miller, we would need to dare greatly. So I'm proud to say to my partners on this county council that this budget includes transformational initiatives that reflect our shared priorities. These include a $10 million investment to launch a public-private partnership supporting countywide expansion of universal, high-quality pre-K, which will ensure that our kids have the chance for a great start in life. A $1.5 million investment to catalyze a coordinated effort to reduce our shamefully high rate of infant mortality. An investment of $6 million over the biennium to begin a transformational approach to workforce development to meet the needs of businesses and residents alike, and to create a sustainable path from poverty to career. A new sustainable Cuyahoga Jobs Fund to attract and grow jobs for our residents. An innovation and performance team, which initially will look to bring efficiencies and best practices to county government. Establishment of capital repairs funds without borrowing. And an initial investment in addressing pay equity issues for our dedicated county staff team. All this and more while maintaining critical programs in mental health, homelessness, seniors, and throughout our array of health and human services. I want to conclude by thanking council for your truly outstanding work. I watched every hearing for hours and hours and hours and hours as you rigorously questioned our heads of departments and other agencies of government. Your questions revealed thorough preparation. Your intense questioning helped us to refine, clarify, and sharpen our initiatives. Your amendments are fair and balanced, restoring some of our cuts and adding some new initiatives. Of critical importance, you maintained a balanced, sustainable budget while ensuring a promising future for the residents of Cuyahoga County. I particularly appreciate the collaboration and cooperation which manifested itself throughout this process. Thank you very much for your excellent, thorough, and thoughtful work.
Thank you. Just to kind of go through the processes of where we are right now, we're going to take 3 votes today. The first vote will be on the technical amendments presented by the administration. The second will be on council's amendments to the budget. And the final vote will be to move the amended resolution to council for second reading. So with that being said, we'll call Mr. Glassburn, who will present the administration's technical amendments. And we did receive them. They were submitted to you last evening to council members. There are a few minor adjustments, but staff and I have reviewed the amendments and didn't see anything significant or objectionable. So, Mr. Glassburn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The technical amendments before you today are designed to not...
Let me interrupt if I could. Technical amendments can be found in pages 49 through 52 in our package. I'm sorry.
The technical amendments before you, there are approximately 80 of them, are designed not to start any new policy initiatives, but to merely correct for errors and omissions in the original budget presentation. The most notable item which changes the spending in this budget is that there is about a $2.5 million correction to some of our hospitalization and healthcare plan issues with our employees, which results in increased spending. We have made other adjustments that will pay for that in coordination with council, but the balance of the items before you, again, are actually budget positive to the budget. In total, in 2016, for the general fund and the levy, there's about $2.35 million of changes, and in 2017, it's about $2.6 million. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to address those.
Any questions for Mr. Glassburn? No, hearing none. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll take I'll make a motion to amend for the purpose of accepting the technical amendments to Resolution 2015-0209. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and second. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none. This is to approve to amend the resolution to accept the technical amendments. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Great, the technical amendments are so made. My colleagues will indulge me, it is brief, Mr. Gallagher, just a brief statement before we discuss our technical amendments. On October 13th, the county executive submitted his 2016-17 recommended budget and capital improvements program. The budget included some bold parameters, including no new debt, no new taxes, reduce expenses, present a balanced budget, and present 4 primary initiatives designed to focus on enhancing universal pre-K, addressing the infant mortality issue facing our county, expand the scope of workforce development, and creating an innovation and performance department to promote the delivery of efficient, effective government services and programs. Council is charged with questioning, reviewing, and verifying the proposed budget, and pursuant to the charter, quote unquote, adopt and amend the budget and to make appropriations to support its implementation. This is one of Council's primary responsibilities, and we take this role very seriously. As such, over several weeks, Council conducted a series of public meetings that included comments from members of the public, presentations from the administration, court, boards, agencies, and commissions. These hearings were intended to provide Council with an in-depth review of the operational and programmatic needs of the county. A budget is a policy document. It outlines the priorities and values of an organization. We have mandated responsibilities from the state as well as our own county charter. Fundamentally, these areas of focus are health and human services, justice services, public safety, development, public works, and general government. Council has conducted its process for weeks ahead of the, Council has concluded its process 4 weeks ahead of the third reading date. Actually, when the council budget calendar was prepared in April, today was designated to be the day that we concluded this phase of our budget process. So one could say that we're on time and literally on budget. That was a Nate Kelly dry sense of humor joke in there. We support, is he here? Is he? Yes, he's here. Okay, there you are. He's in the back. He's in the back. We support and respect the administration's priorities and have retained the following guidelines in our deliberations: no new debt, no new taxes, and presenting a balanced budget. Council has proposed a number of amendments to the executive's recommended budget. It is my belief that these amendments are both responsible and responsive to the needs of our collective community, Cuyahoga County. To be clear, the recommended budget presented to Council was much more restrictive than the past and posed its own challenges. Council met those challenges, and while working with the constraints presented, it has made the following amendments. Council amendments have restored funding to the Adams Board. Under the area of senior and adult services, restored hot meals for seniors, provided funding for senior centers in East Cleveland and Strongsville, as well as a senior initiative to foster collaboration with senior centers throughout the county, and to restore funding to address the bedbug issues facing needy seniors. In the area of homeless services, restored funding to rapid rehousing and to increase services for the women's shelter to meet the needs that we've learned about over the last couple of months. As it relates to Family and Children First Council, restored funding to the out-of-school time program, parent services, teen pregnancy, youth internships, and community services. Additionally, increased funding for the Closing the Achievement Gap. Under general government, funding has been provided to the Personnel Review Commission for them to perform their charter-mandated obligations. Under Justice Services, in total, the court's funding increase represents just over 56% in 2016 and 58% in 2017 of the total increase in general fund amendments. Additionally, Council restored funding to firefighter grant program as well as to the public defender. Under development, the Sports Commission and Film Commission have been fully restored, as well as funding to the Planning Commission for increased assistance to our communities. In an effort to support these amendments while maintaining the executive's objective of not incurring additional debt, we have the following reductions. Primarily, capital improvements has been reduced by $4.7 million in 16 and $2.8 million in 17, and the Cuyahoga Job Creation Fund was reduced by $2 million and $4.5 million in 16 and 17, respectively. This budget represents a focus on the vision of providing an effective and efficient use of resources to deliver the highest quality of services to the residents of the county while being mindful of the constraints placed on scarce financial resources. The executive's position, supported by Council, not to increase debt was a shift from previous policy, and although that single position placed significant pressure on resources, effectively, the county is funding operations out of ongoing cash flow. The budget is intended to meet the needs of the residents of the county across all disciplines while creating a financial plan that is sustainable. I wish to thank our staff, Trevor, Mike, Joe, Khalil, Levine, our Tiffany, as well as our clerk staff, Janine, Chrissy, and Jean, for their hard work through this process. We really owe them a lot because of their commitment and dedication, and is truly a definition of public service to our county. I also want to thank the executive and his staff, and Chris Glassburn and Dennis Kennedy for their working diligently with Council to address the concerns contained in this very complicated budget. Finally, I wish to thank my colleagues for their vision, diligence, and commitment to do what is right. This budget is an example of compassion and compromise. From the beginning of the process, the doors of communication between the Council and the administration were always open. We collectively, the Council and the administration, worked in such a manner as to serve as a model of a bipartisan body acting in a nonpartisan fashion, focused on serving those to whom we are elected to serve. Thank you. Now we'll have a discussion on the Council's proposed amendments in our package on page 53. Begins the discussion. Actually, we can actually just start on page 56, which is actually the memo to which you all received and we've been discussing regarding the amendments as we've deliberated, and I'll entertain any discussion on those items. Mr. Miller.
Mr. Chairman and my colleagues, I I commend Executive Budish and his staff for putting forward major new initiatives designed to foster positive structural changes in our social and economic life, and I'm thankful for your inclusion of my initiatives in the budget plan. I commend Chairman Greenspan and our staff for excellent work in gathering information and working collaboratively to find workable solutions. The amended budget package funds Executive Budish's initiatives, funds the Council's initiatives, and preserves our existing safety net services. The services provided for in this budget will improve our economy and help a lot of people. We should remember, though, that government doesn't improve people's lives. People make positive changes starting from the inside. I ask the people of Cuyahoga County to personally embrace the opportunities made through this budget and to enlarge your vision of what is possible in your life if we all work together. We did all work together to produce the budget package, and I support the amendments. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Mr. Schron.
I will be supporting the amendments and the changes. I do caution our council to make sure that as we make cuts in the jobs area, that we look to the charter and we look to the preamble that talks about economic development, job creation, and we need to make sure that that sits at the pinnacle because and again, putting my business hat on, revenue drives activities, that activities are then the result of having the money to be able to do it. And so the more jobs we create, the more tax revenue we have, and if we leave that out of where we go, I think we will be at risk of losing the top line, which then yields us with the ability to do things like these initiative packages out there. And so I will be pushing hard. You can assure to make sure that we pay attention to the job creation and job growth. Thank you.
Any other comments? Mr. Jones, then Ms. Simon.
Just want to acknowledge and congratulate this council and the administration on their collective hard work and due diligence and bringing this budget forward. I'd just like to highlight some of the amendments that Councilman Greenspan has already touched on, but for our senior adult services, the funding provided for our senior center initiative and the other restorations, our homeless services, those restorations, our Family and Children First Council, the restoration to these important programmings, and of course our Closing the Achievement Gap, which adds, again, we consider it a pipeline, and we've added to the 9th, 10th grade and through 12th grade cohort of children. We are now adding a mentor that reaches back towards the 8th grade and is a floater amongst our 4 school systems. So this begins that pipeline that moves back towards ultimately the work done in the UPK age group. So connecting that pipeline, which again will be a great support to our children. Also would like to acknowledge again the restoration of the Adams Board funding and the human services in general. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Simon.
Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you to the executive and to our chairman of budget. It's been great working with you, and President Brady. It's been amazing being able to bring this together in such a well-ordered budget, which really does highlight the priorities of all of us. It's not a question of what we agree upon or where we want to go. It's just simply how we were going to get there. And I think we got there, and I'm proud to be sitting here with my colleagues in the administration. I'm also pleased and look forward to working with the Universal Pre-K initiative with Chief of Staff and through my committee and through council as a whole. And really am pleased to say Adams Board is restored. When we look at what's happening with the heroin, with addiction, with mental health, has traditionally been underfunded in this country since the 70s. And I really think it's vital that we maintain funding and attention toward these issues in our county. It's really, really important. So I think we'll really be able to start to get to the sources of what ails us when we go deep into universal pre-K with addiction and workforce. And I I'm also glad to see we are restoring and working with workforce development for job creation as one of the pillars of the executive's priorities. So thank you to everybody. It's been a grueling at times, but very rewarding process.
Very good. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, do we need to have you read this into the record?
I could do that.
Okay, why don't you do that? I apologize.
That's all right. Resolution number 2015-0209, a resolution adopting the 2016-2017 biennial operating budget and capital improvements program and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Okay, great, thank you. So before us, we've already had a motion to adopt the technical amendments, and that's acceptable, Madam Clerk? Okay, very good. I'll go ahead and make a motion to accept council's amendments to Resolution 2015-0209. Is there a second? Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All in favor of amending the resolution to include council's amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that is so amended. We have one final vote, and that would be to recommend for second reading the amended Resolution 2015-0209 to full council for second reading on November 24th. Is there a motion?
I so move,
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Schron and Mr. Miller.
Now that we've gone through the technical amendments and we've gone through our council amendments and it was ready to bring the vote out, I think this is the appropriate time for me to say we appreciate all the hard work from the administration to what they had done to bring this forward. Appreciate all the hard work from the staff and the leadership that came from our president of council. But I think that we would all be thoroughly acknowledging the hard work in the appropriate way for our chairman of this process, Dave Greenspan, to bring this forward. It was no small task to heard all these different points of view from administration, from council, from the directions of all the bodies with which they will be participating with, and it's, to me, this is the vote that we will be bringing it forward. The final capstone obviously can still be amended on the floor, but I don't think it will be. So congratulations, David, on a job well done. To applaud in council.
Well, I won't gavel that one, but I'll just say, I know Mr. Miller was a comment, but once again, council staff was very instrumental, and so were all my colleagues in being flexible in this process. Mr. Miller?
Mr. Chairman, it was a privilege for me to be a part of this process, and I would just like to have my name added as a sponsor. Thank you.
Okay.
Add my name also.
Well, I believe we all are sponsors, so, okay, very good. Any other questions, comments? Mr. Brady?
No, I'm just prepared to, I'll finish the meeting from here as awkward as.
Do you want to take the vote on this?
Yeah, first.
I'm sorry, did you want to do the vote, or, oh, you want me to close out with a vote?
Sorry, I didn't mean to confuse you, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
All right,
Let's take the vote.
Okay.
And
yes, I understand.
I'll finish the meeting.
Okay, very good. All right, so we've, motions made and seconded to adopt the resolution as so amended. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, very good, thank you. So that has now been so amended. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Councilman Greenspan. We now move to miscellaneous business. I'd just like to take this opportunity then under miscellaneous to thank everybody for working so hard, being so diligent, cooperating. It almost seems painless, but that's not really the way it was. It was a lot of hard work. It just feels pretty good right now. Also, I want to say that the work the staff did was phenomenal. The amount of hours and time that they put in, along with the administration and working closely with them, was really unprecedented. And of course, the budget itself was also unprecedented, so it had to match the work had to match the budget. And finally, I just want to certainly recognize the excellent work that the Chairman of Finance has done with a difficult, challenging, unique budget. And his work ethic is very much admired, and we appreciate his guidance in this process. And so I just want to thank everyone for getting us to this point 4 weeks early. I'm pretty sure it is a record. And now we can go about solving other issues. So, thank you. Is there any public comment unrelated to the agenda?
No, Mr. President.
Then this meeting is adjourned. We're early. The council meeting isn't until 5 o'clock. So we'll see you then.